And hello everyone, welcome back to another HTML tutorial. So in this tutorial we'll be covering SVGs, or in other words, Scalable Vector Graphics. I'm not going to cover everything and I'm not going to cover it in depth, mainly because I feel SVGs is a topic entirely on its own. So I'm only going to cover the basics, such as drawing a circle and drawing a rectangle, and then I think that's where I'm going to leave it. But if you want to learn more, you can either go to WeSchools or you can Google it and you can find for yourself what else you can do. So what is an SVG, a scalable vector graphic? So you have normal things like an image. I can actually see if I can open up some sort of image for you. Lucky for you, I always keep an image on hand. Now, if I were to go here and zoom in to this, let's say this 13 right here, you'll notice the more I zoom in, the uglier it gets. And that is because with PNGs, JPEGs, all of these image formats, it uses pixels. And pixels, whilst they are pretty nice, they're not very accurate on the end of the day, or they can't be very high quality, because the higher quality it is, the higher quality or the higher the image size should be. So for example, instead of being 1 megabyte, if you want to be able to zoom in a lot, then it's going to have to be 13 megabytes as an example. But with an SVG, you can use math to draw things for you. So you can zoom in as much as you want without ever losing quality. An example I want to show you before I get started with it is here. This is code by Deny from Solo Learn. He actually gave me permission to use this in a different video, but now you can't search up people's usernames anymore, so I don't know how to find it. But this is Deny on Solo Learn's code. And let's just add some styling, and you didn't have to code along here, it's just to show you an example. Now, I know a lot of my viewers likes anime. So one cool thing here is we can have an SVG anime eye. This is entirely done with CSS and SVG. If we zoom in, we can zoom in as much as we want, but we'll never actually get to the point where it can be considered low quality. So as you can see, the more I zoom in, the more it's fine. I can't actually zoom in any more than this, but as you can see, you don't really lose any quality, and that's because it uses math. It uses math to figure out what all of these are. So yeah. Now that's just an example. We're not going to code something that complex because it will take a while. But if you want to code along, I do have a video where I do code this out by hand. So yeah, if you want to follow along, then you can go watch that video. Anyhow, so that's just an example. Now let's do some basics of it. Now you can do that easily by saying SVG, and this should be in its own little thing. And inside of this SVG, you can specify what type of item you want, what type of shape. For example, a circle. And I actually have to... There we go. Now they're actually self-closing, so we can do that. Now this will allow you to draw a circle. Now you can set the radius, and let's make the radius something like 40. As you can see, we get a weird-ish circle there, but we can move that because there is a real circle there. It's just that the center of the circle is at the top of our web page. So we can move it by saying CX, so the circle X or the center X, whichever you prefer. And let's go 100. As you can see, now it has been moved here. Because remember, this is X and this is Y. Now we can also go CY for circle Y. And we can change that to 100. And that will move it up and down, as you can see here. So X moves it from left to right. Y moves it from up to down. And there's our circle. We can change things such as the circle color by saying fill, and let's make it green. Now we have a green circle. We can give it a little bit of a stroke, so stroke, and let's make the stroke color equal to, I don't know, pink. That sounds cool. Now you can't really see it, but if you were to say stroke width and make that equal to, let's say 4, then you'll see a little pink outline. That's a bit difficult to see, so let's go red. There we go. So now it has a red outline. And you can change it to fit your preference. So yeah, that's the basics of drawing a circle with SVG. So as you can see, it's not that difficult. If you are willing to spend enough time in something like this, you could code some really cool SVGs. The same with a rectangle. We can code a rect, so let's go here and say instead of circle, we can go rect. And in here we can of course also say the width and the height, because remember, unlike with a circle where the radius determines everything, with a rectangle the width and the height determines it. So width 400, height 200, and you'll get a black square. You can of course change the color by going fill, and let's go blue, and there you go, it's blue. And you can do the stroking again if you want and whatnot. You can also limit the SVG sizes, so let's say you want to limit yourself to a specific size on the page. You can do something like width is equal to, and I think these are also pixels. Don't know what the measurements are, but I believe these are also pixels, so this should be about 200 pixels or something. So let's say we make it the width 200, and we make the height equal to 400. That's perfectly fine. And as you can see, this can only go up until 200 and width before it gets cut off. But the height can go up until 400. So let's make that 300, and let's make this 150, like that. As you can see, now it works nicely. However, if we were to change this to 200 instead of 400, as you can see, it will get cut off again. So you can use this to also set a specific size for your SVG. And yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into SVGs because they are really their own topic. If you want to know more about SVGs, I do recommend checking out WeSchools. Because if I were to just drag this over here, because it's pretty cool. As you can see, they give you a bunch of examples of what you can do with SVGs. And it's really neat. You can also search up more ways to create SVGs, and some design applications also allows you to create SVGs without needing to do all of the math. So you can also use design applications if you want to, instead of HTML. But yeah, that is all for this tutorial. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoy, and that some of you might find some pleasure in coding some SVG in HTML. And I will see you all again in the next HTML tutorial.